My name is Amber Hayes. I am 31 years old. And I need to tell you something before I tell you the story. The night of my sister's wedding, I made one decision. One small, quiet decision that I did not announce to anyone. I did not make a speech. I did not cause a scene. I did not do the thing everyone who has ever been mistreated by their family imagines doing, the confrontation, the revelation, the dramatic exit with the door slamming behind them. I simply left a small silver box on a gift table. And 40 minutes later, the most composed woman I had ever watched perform her own wedding began screaming in front of 214 people. I was already in my car when it happened. Driving back to Boston with the heat on and the radio off and my hands completely steady on the wheel. I want to tell you how I got to that car. Because the silver box did not come from anger. It did not come from a plan I had been building for years. It came from something much quieter and much older than either of those things. It came from a brown journal in a vanity drawer. From 11 years of being the daughter who did not require a record. From a woman who had learned so thoroughly that her presence was optional that she had stopped noticing when rooms were arranged without her. Before I tell you what was in that box, I need to take you back. To a house in Maplewood, New Jersey. To two sisters who grew up in the same rooms and became entirely different stories. And to the specific Tuesday night 3 weeks before the wedding when a coworker said something over coffee that I could not unhear. If you are watching this right now, drop your city in the comments. Just your city. I read every one. And if you have ever been the person a room forgot to account for, like this video, stay with me. Because what happens in the next hour is not about a wedding. It is about 11 years of evidence arriving at exactly the right moment. I grew up in a house that looked like the kind of house other people pointed to. Manicured lawn. A kitchen that smelled like something was always being prepared. Parents who showed up to things and smiled at the right moments and were, by every visible measure, a family doing it correctly. My parents, Gerald and Maggie Hayes, had 2 daughters. My sister Leah is 3 years older. She was the one the room organized itself around, not because she demanded it but because she had the specific quality of people who fill spaces without trying, who make attention feel like their natural weather. I was the other kind. I was the one who noticed things. Who sat slightly to the side and watched how rooms worked. Who learned early that being useful was different from being seen. Who spent 12 years being called the easy one and understanding, eventually, that easy was not a compliment. Easy meant you did not require anything. Easy meant nobody had to adjust for you. Easy meant you could be placed near the kitchen at a wedding and nobody would think twice. My mother kept a journal. I found it when I was 17. Brown cover, soft at the edges from years of handling. I had been looking for scissors in her vanity drawer. Every entry began the same way. Leia's first day of kindergarten. Leia's favorite meal. Leia's college acceptance. I flipped through 30 pages. My name appeared once. In a list of things my mother needed to do that week. Right between dentist appointment and pick up dry cleaning. I put the journal back. I never mentioned it. But I have thought about it almost every day since. I left Maplewood at 18 on a partial scholarship to a design school in Boston. My mother said, "Design? Is that really a career?" My father nodded in a way that meant he agreed but did not want to be the one to say it. I went anyway. I built a career the way you build anything without a foundation, carefully, slowly, from the bottom, with no safety net and no one checking in. Freelance first. Then clients. Then a studio. Then a reputation and brand identity that had nothing to do with Maplewood and everything to do with 6 years of working before most people were awake. By 28 I had 23 employees. By 30 I had signed 3 national accounts. By 31 I had been named to a regional industry list that I found out about when a client texted me a screenshot at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. I did not tell my family. Not because I was hiding. Because I had watched for 11 years what happened when I shared good news with people who had already decided what I was capable of. The information did not update the file. It got absorbed into the story they were already telling and came out shaped differently. So I built quietly. I kept my own records. I showed up to family events as the easy one, and I smiled, and I carried dishes from the kitchen, and I drove home afterward in the specific silence of someone who has decided that the distance between who they are and who their family believes them to be is no longer their problem to close. Then Leia got engaged. His name was Noah. 41 years old. Calm, kind, the sort of man who remembered details. He was in wealth management. His mother Victoria had the specific quietness of someone who had made a great deal of money and no longer needed to mention it. I liked him. I liked his mother. I was invited to the wedding. Of course I was. I was family. I existed in the paperwork. 3 weeks before the ceremony, I had lunch with a woman named Celia who had worked with Leia at her previous job. We had mutual friends. It was the kind of lunch that starts as casual and becomes something else when someone says a thing they have been wanting to say and the coffee goes cold. Celia set down her cup. I have to tell you something, she said. About Leia. About what she has been saying about Noah. I looked at her. She says it like a joke, Celia said. But it is not a joke. She says he is easy to manage. She says a few tears and he agrees to anything. She said, I am going to quote this exactly, the house will be mine by Christmas. He just does not know it yet. The restaurant hummed around us. Someone's child. Someone's espresso machine. She showed me the texts, Celia said. Between her and her old college roommate. I took screenshots because I did not know what else to do with them. She slid her phone across the table. I read them twice. Then I picked up my coffee. It was completely cold. I drank it anyway. I did not plan what happened next. I want to be absolutely clear about that. I had not been building toward a moment. I had not been waiting for an opportunity. I had simply been handed the truth at exactly the moment when a silver box was about to be wrapped. If you have ever been handed information you did not ask for but could not put back down, drop a fire in the comments. And subscribe if you have not yet. Because what I did with those screenshots, and what happened 40 minutes after I left that reception, is the part nobody at that wedding saw coming. Not even me. I drove to Vermont on a Saturday in October. 3 hours from Boston. Alone. A wine-colored dress I had ironed twice. A bottle of good wine on the passenger seat. And in my bag, wrapped in silver paper, tied with ribbon I had pulled tighter than necessary, a small box. Inside the box was a crystal frame. And beneath the frame, folded neatly, was a printed copy of every screenshot Celia had shown me. Organized by date. Labeled clearly. The texts between Leia and her college roommate. The joke that was not a joke. The house that would be hers by Christmas. And a note. 4 sentences. My handwriting. Neat and deliberate. Noah. These are real. The dates are verifiable. You deserve to know. I had debated for 3 weeks whether to send them directly. Whether to call him. Whether to go to his mother Victoria. I had debated all of it. And then the seating chart had arrived. My name was not at any of the numbered tables inside the ballroom. My name was at a folding table in the hallway, near the service entrance, next to a rolling cart of extra chairs. I had read the email 3 times. The coordinator had confirmed it when I called. Hallway seating. Yes. That is correct. I had sat with that for a day. Then I had wrapped the box. The venue was everything Leia would choose. A lakeside resort in Vermont. Orchids floating in crystal bowls. Chandeliers that made everyone look like they belonged. Tables draped in white linen with small candles that turned the room gold. I arrived and found the coordinator. She walked me to my table. In the hallway, near the service doors. I could see the ballroom through the glass panel, every sparkle, every laugh. I set my wine on the table. I sat in the folding chair. For 20 minutes I watched through the glass. My mother in champagne silk. My father straightening his tie. Leia glowing in white, moving through the room like she had rehearsed it, which she had, because Leia rehearsed everything. Noah standing near the bar. Calm. Trusting. The face of a man who had no idea. Then Leia saw me through the glass. She came out. White gown trailing. Bouquet in one hand. The half-smile I had known since childhood, the one she used before she took something. Well, she said, stopping at the service door. Looks like they figured out where you belong. I looked at her. I have been thinking about that, I said. About where I belong. She tilted her head. Waiting for me to be hurt. Waiting for the reaction she had come out here to collect. There has always been space for both of us, I said. You are the one who keeps shrinking it. Her smile tightened. Not everything is about you, Amber. This is my day. You put me next to the trash cans, I said. What exactly am I celebrating? Something moved behind her eyes. Then she lifted her chin. You make everything so difficult, she said. You always have. She turned. White gown brushing the floor. Trail of perfume. The door closing behind her. I waited. Then I stood up. Smoothed my dress. Picked up the silver box. Walked to the gift table inside the entrance. Placed the box on top of the pile, my handwriting on the tag, neat and deliberate. I did not hurry. I did not look back. I walked out into the Vermont evening. The air was cold and clean and smelled like pine and a lake and something that felt like the absence of a room that had never been arranged to hold me. I found my car in the gravel lot. Got in. Started the engine. Let the truth find its way, I said to no one. Then I drove. Stay with me. Because what happened inside that ballroom 40 minutes later is the thing everyone at that wedding is still talking about. And it started with a cousin who just wanted to open one gift. The gift table had drawn a small crowd. A cousin had suggested it, a spontaneous moment, the kind that happens at good receptions when the music is right and everyone is warm and celebrating. Leia had laughed and reached for the top gift. The silver one. My handwriting on the tag. She tugged the ribbon. The paper fell. The lid lifted. The crystal frame caught the chandelier light. And then her hand stopped. The folded note slid loose. Landed face up on the table. Noah was standing beside her. His eyes found the screenshots before she could reach them. He frowned. Read one line. Then another. He's so easy to manage. Cry a little and he agrees to anything. The music did not stop immediately. It simply thinned, the violinist missing a beat, the room shifting without knowing why. Noah kept reading. Page after page. Each line worse than the last. The house by Christmas. The plan for his mother. The laugh she had given the story about managing him. What is this? Leia's voice was barely controlled. It is real, Noah said quietly. The dates match. Victoria, Noah's mother, had been watching from across the room. She crossed the floor with the slow certainty of someone who had been suspicious for months and was watching the suspicion become confirmed in real time. I think you should read the rest, she said to the room, before anyone decides to blame anyone. Leia lunged for the papers. Victoria stepped between them. You showed it yourself, Victoria said. In writing. That was when the screaming started. Not loud at first. More like air leaving a body too fast. Leia stumbling back. The train of her gown catching under her heel. Her voice going high and breaking. She did this. My sister. Amber did this. Noah's jaw tightened. Amber did not write those messages, he said. She planted them. She is jealous. She has always. Stop. One word. From Noah. Low. Final. The kind that does not need volume to carry weight. You humiliated her today, he said. You put her outside in a hallway while 200 people celebrated inside. And you thought nobody would ever see who you really are. He reached into his jacket. Placed a document on the table. This is an annulment petition, he said. I already signed it. The room went completely silent. Then, crystal shattering. The frame hitting the floor. Leia spinning toward my parents. My mother pale and still. My father looking at the floor. Do something, Leia cried. Say something. My mother did not move. My father spoke for the first time all evening. You should apologize to your sister, he said. 4 words. Quiet. Final. The kind of sentence that lands differently when it comes from the person who has been silent the longest. Leia laughed. The brittle kind that breaks before it reaches the eyes. Apologize to her? She is not even family. My father shook his head slowly. That, he said, is where you are wrong. He left it at that. Turned. Walked toward the exit. I told you the story was not about a wedding. Stay with me. Because what happened in the days after, what my father said when he called me from the parking lot, is the part that changed everything between us. I was 50 miles from Boston when my phone began ringing. I did not answer. Not the first call. Not the second. Not the 16 that came over the next 2 hours from numbers I recognized and numbers I did not. The quiet in the car was worth more than any of them. I had spent 11 years being the easy one. The one who did not require anything. The one who sat near the kitchen and helped with dishes and drove home in the specific silence of someone who had decided the distance between who they were and who their family believed them to be was no longer their problem to close. That night the distance closed itself. Not because of anything I had done. Because I had simply placed something true on a table and left before anyone could make me responsible for how it landed. I reached my apartment at midnight. The city was quiet. I hung my wine-colored dress on the back of my door and stood in my kitchen for a long time. Then my father called. Not from the wedding venue number. From his cell. The one he used when he was not performing anything. I answered. I am in the parking lot, he said. I walked out after what she said. About you not being family. I know, I said. I heard you told her she was wrong. She is wrong, he said. She has always been wrong about that. I leaned against my kitchen counter. Dad, I said. I know, he said. I should have said it sooner. Every dinner. Every time your mother introduced Leia first. Every time the room arranged itself and you moved to accommodate it. I should have said something. Yes, I said. You should have. The journal, he said. I was quiet. Your mother's journal, he said. Did you find it? When I was 17, I said. He exhaled. Long, slow. The exhale of a man who has been carrying something for 15 years and has finally decided to set it down. I knew about it, he said. I knew what was in it. I told myself it was her way of processing. I told myself it did not mean what it looked like it meant. It meant exactly what it looked like, I said. Yes, he said. It did. The city was quiet outside my window. Someone's taxi. Someone's distant music. I am proud of you, he said. The studio. The accounts. The list you were named to last year. I saw it. I saved it. I never said anything because I did not know how to say it inside the version of our family that had been built. You could have said it to me directly, I said. Yes, he said. I could have. Dad. Yes. Thank you for the 4 words tonight, I said. That is where you start. He was quiet for a moment. All right, he said. That is where I start. My mother called 3 days later. Not the managed version. Not the voice she used when the family narrative needed arranging. The smaller voice. The one that lived underneath everything else. The hallway, she said. Yes, I said. I did not know about the seating until you called the coordinator, she said. Leia arranged it. I did not check. You did not check, I said. No, she said. I trusted her to handle it. You trusted her to handle everything about me, I said. The seating. The journal. The version of your family that did not require my presence to feel complete. She did not argue. The journal, she said. You found it. When I was 17, I said. A very long silence. I wrote about Leia, she said, because she was the one who needed to be recorded. She required, documentation. You never seemed to need it. I needed it, I said. I just never said so. Because saying so was not how the easy one behaved. She made a sound that was not quite a word. I am not easy, I said. I am someone who learned very young that being easy was the price of belonging. I paid it for 28 years. I am not paying it anymore. What do you need from me, she said. Nothing right now, I said. But that is a good question. That is where you start, asking it. Every time. Before you assume. All right, she said. Show me, I said. Not one call. Show me at the next dinner. And the one after. Leia did not call for 2 weeks. When she did, her voice had lost the performance entirely. What was underneath was smaller and more frightened than anything I had heard from her. The annulment, she said. It is happening. Yes, I said. Noah will not speak to me, she said. Victoria has cut contact. The venue is seeking damages for, she stopped. It is bad, Amber. Yes, I said. It is. You did this, she said. But her voice had no force behind it. It was the statement of someone who knew it was not the right story anymore and was saying it out of habit. You seated me in a hallway next to the trash cans, I said. You came out and told me I did not count. And you had been telling the man you were marrying that he was easy to manage for the entire engagement. Silence. I did not plan any of what happened, I said. I planned a silver box. That is all. Celia, she said. Yes, I said. I trusted her, she said. You trusted a lot of people, I said. You just trusted the wrong ones with the wrong things. Another silence. I do not know how to be your sister, she said finally. I know, I said. Neither do I. But I am not your enemy. I am also not your audience. If you want to figure out the first part, that means starting with honesty. Not with me. With yourself. She did not answer. Some silences are their own answer. I bought a proper dining table the month after the wedding. Not because the silver box had fixed anything, but because I had been eating at a second-hand coffee table for 3 years telling myself it was fine, and I was done telling myself things were fine when they were not. The table arrived on a Thursday. I assembled it myself. Set 2 chairs on either side. Put a plant in the center because I had always wanted one on a table and had never had a table worth putting one on. I sat down at it with a cup of tea and looked at the morning light coming through my window. The wine-colored dress was still on the back of my door. I had not moved it. I had been meaning to hang it properly. I kept looking at it instead. It had not picked up a mark from the entire evening. Not from the folding chair. Not from the service door draft. Not from the parking lot gravel. It looked like armor I had not known I was wearing. I got up. Took it off the door. Hung it in my closet in the center where the good things went. Then I sat back down at the table. I opened my laptop. I found the industry list I had been named to. I sent the link to my father with one line. You said you saved this. Here it is again. For the new file. He replied in 4 minutes. Proud of you. Always have been. Starting to say it now. I set my phone face down on the table. Looked at the plant in the center. At the morning light. At the apartment that was entirely mine. My name is Amber Hayes. I am 31 years old. My sister seated me by the trash cans at her wedding. She came out and told me I did not count. I left a silver box on the gift table and walked out into the Vermont evening with my hands completely steady. 40 minutes later the screaming started. I was already 50 miles gone. I did not leave that box out of cruelty. I did not leave it out of a plan I had been building for years. I left it because I had been handed something true and I had decided that truth, real, documented, verifiable truth, belonged on the table. Not in my bag. Not in silence. On the table, where people could see it. My father said 4 words and then called me from a parking lot. My mother asked what I needed. Leah lost a marriage she had been managing. I bought a table. I hung the dress where the good things go. I sent my father a link. Justice does not always arrive as a confrontation. Sometimes it is a silver box tied with ribbon. Sometimes it is a parking lot phone call. Sometimes it is a man raising a glass 4 words at a time. Sometimes it is simply the moment you stop accommodating a room that was never arranged to hold you and walk out into the cold Vermont air with your hands entirely steady. That is not revenge. That is just what it sounds like when someone finally decides they are done being easy. If you have ever been the person the room forgot to account for, leave one word in the comments. Just one. I read every single one. And if this story reminded you that truth placed quietly on the right table is the most powerful thing you will ever do, share it with someone who needs to hear that today. Subscribe. The next story is already waiting.